Well, happy Wednesday morning to you, everyone, and welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. And we're looking at 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 11, where Paul says, as many translations render it, the end of the ages has come. It is literally the ends, plural, of the ages, plural. And I'm addressing the question, if there are only two ages, and by the way, this morning I've just been going back over some of the scholarly literature. Everyone from Beale to Reeser to Wright to Schurer to, you name it, and rereading some of the comments about the two ages. And as I've suggested to you, there's virtually no disagreement that the Jews thought within the broad framework of two ages. They thought of this age and the age to come. This age was the age of Moses and the law. The age to come was the age of Messiah and the new covenant, the kingdom, the resurrection age. And the age of Moses and Torah was supposed to come to an end. The age of Messiah was to never end. For instance, the Jews came to Jesus on one occasion, Matthew chapter 12, and Jesus had been predicting his death. And they said, well, how can you talk of that? Because we have read in the law that Messiah abides forever. They are essentially alluding to Psalms chapter 89. But remember, they're looking at this within the perspective of the establishment of the kingdom, what was to end and what was not to end. And Messiah and his kingdom, Messiah and his rule on the throne of David would never end. Again, that's Matthew 12, verse 34. Now, today I want us to look at one additional reality here. There's so much more that can be discussed on 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 11. But I pointed out to you that Paul says that the goal, Greek word telos, of all the ages has arrived. I simply cannot emphasize enough how significant this is eschatologically. I have suggested to you that we need to look at what was the goal of the ages, of the previous ages. I want to keep this as simple as possible for today and point out the goal of the previous ages, the goal of the previous age, if you please, was the end of the age. Now again, this strikes at the heart and gets to the very core of the issue of two ages. The Jews believed that this age, the age of Moses and the law, would come to an end and give way to the unending age of Messiah. The anticipation of the age to come was incredible in the first century. The anticipation, therefore, of the end of the age was dominant and powerful. Now consider, therefore, that Paul is saying the goal of the previous ages has come upon us. The goal of the previous ages is the end of the age. That has Paul saying that he was living in the time of the end of the age. Now, it's common for people to say, well, the end of the Mosaic age was at the cross. No, it wasn't. You need to get my book, From Torah to Telos, The Passing of the Law of Moses. And you can get that on my websites. But it's a powerful demonstration that the end of the Mosaic age was not at the cross. It was, just as the disciples understood, at the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70, Matthew 24, verse 2 and 3. But watch this. The goal of the previous ages was to be the end of the age, the ushering in of the age to come, or I should say, the full arrival of the age to come, the Messianic kingdom. Well, what do we find in Matthew chapter 13? In Matthew 13, Jesus tells the parable of the wheat and the tares. And he said, harvest is at the end of the age. He uses a very distinctive Greek term here, suntelia to aeonos. The full consummation of the age. When would that full consummation arrive? The coming of the Son of Man, the sending forth of the angels, the gathering into the barn of the saved, the burning up of the wicked tares. That is the full consummation. Well, pretty clearly, Paul is not saying that the full consummation of the ages, i.e. the coming of the Son of Man, the sending forth of the angels, the time of the harvest, had already passed. Jesus was looking forward to the full consummation of the ages. Paul was saying that he was living in the time in which that goal was about to be achieved. And watch this. Peter, writing later in that same identical generation, says, the end, the goal of all things. Well, what is the goal of all things? The full consummation of the age and the full arrival of the new heaven and the new earth. The full arrival of the new creation. The full arrival of, quote, the age to come, unquote, the everlasting, unending kingdom of Messiah. So when Paul said, the goal of the ages has come upon us, he knew full well that Jesus had said the full consummation would be at the parousia. He knew, like Peter, that the time had come for the judgment. 1 Peter 4, verse 17. Paul was standing at the intersection of the ages. The old was ready to pass away. The new was ready to fully arrive. Wow. What an incredible statement. Paul's comments were when he said, the goal of the ages has come upon us. Destiny accomplished, or destiny arrived. Once again, get my book, From Torah to Telos, The Passing of the Law of Moses. Go to my website, eschatology.org or bibleprophecy.com, and order the book, From Torah to Telos. Mention that you saw the offer on Facebook or YouTube, and I'll refund your shipping. That will save you $5. And I want to tell you something. This book will completely change your mind about the changing of the ages. It is a great read. Hope you get your own copy today. Thanks for joining me for this morning's Morning Musings. Lord willing, we'll see you on the flip side.